Okay, we are on Tav Yud Tet Zayin. Tav Tet Zayin. Okay. The halacha that we're in the middle of, that you can have on 2 days Yom Tov, you can have the Eruv set. You can have 2 pieces of bread or 2 places where you're standing. They can be in opposite directions from each other. Just in short, this long halacha of Gimel is just telling you that where the person is standing on Erev the first day, and where he wants both Techumin, the Makom Shvita, to be on both days of Bein HaShemashos, all 3 locations must all be within 2,000 amos. Otherwise it can't work. For an Eruv to work, for a Eruv Techumin to work, it must be that you set it up Erev Shabbos, and that it's there through Bein HaShemashos, and that you're always able to get there. So the only way it can be where you can be in both places, or to connect one day to another, even if it's in opposite directions, is that they always have to be within 2,000 amos. Okay, that's really the whole halacha. We'll just read it inside. That we learned you want to have 2 different Eruvin in 2 different directions for 2 different days. It has to be that both of them have to be that you can reach there on day 1, at the beginning of day 1. If it's impossible to reach from the first day to the second day of Bein HaShemashos, because if they're in opposite directions, you can try and put them, 4,000 amos apart, theoretically. In Eruv Hasheni Eruv, then the second day doesn't work. You end up only having an Eruv for the first day where you put your food, and the second day is based on where you were standing when the second day started. Sha'erev, it has to be set where you can have a Suda that day. Since you weren't able to get there, it doesn't count. Ketzad. Let's just give an example. Hare, you place your Eruv 2,000 amos to the east. V'samach alav l'yom harishon. And that's what you're using for the first day. V'hiniach Eruv sheni berichok ama achas o mea o elef beruach mara v'samach alav l'yom hasheni. For the second day, you place your Eruv to the west. Even 1 amma. There's a kosher cane, 100, 1,000. Ein zeh sheni Eruv. The second day, your Eruv didn't do anything. Didn't work. It goes by where you're standing. Shahare bayom harishon ein ze eruv hasheni ra'ui lo mibad yom. It's based on where you were for the first day. You can't reach there the second day. Because you can't reach there. Shahare lo nishar lo beruach marav klum. Because you used up all your amos in the east, and now you have nothing to go to the west. Aval imeniach eruv beruchok elef v'chamesh me'ad nebeito beruach mizrach. But if you set it up 1,500 amos to the east, v'samach alav l'yom harishon, and that's what you use for the first day. V'hiniach Eruv hasheni, and you placed your second Eruv for the second day in the opposite direction to the west. Rachav m'beit l'urach mara v'toch chamesh me'ot ama, anywhere within the chamesh me'ot ama, from the middle, from where you were standing. V'samach alav l'yom hasheni, and that's what you want to use for the second night, for the second day. Hare is the Eruv that counts as an Eruv. Shehare efshar sheyagia lo b'yom harishon. Because it's within 2,000 amos, and you can get there on the first day. Okay, it's a mouthful. Dalet. Yom HaKippurim areo k'Shabbos. So the halachas for Eruvin are the same for Shabbos. Shabbos, halachas of carrying and tchumin and everything, and it's all the same. Hotza'ah. So that's the same for Yom Kippur and Shabbos. Therefore, bein linyan eruvei chatzeros, bein linyan eruvei tchumin. So whether it's eruvei chatzeros, eruvei tchumin, all the halachas are the same. You want to walk beyond, you do this, whatever you do for Shabbos, you do for Yom Kippur. You want to carry, whatever you do for Shabbos, you do for Yom Kippur. You want to set up an eruv chatzeros, you set up an eruv chatzeros, no problem. Or an eruvei tchumin. However, halacha hey, Yom Tov is different. Noeg ba eruvei techumin. We learned that the halachas of having a tchum on Shabbos is exactly the same for Shabbos and Yom Tov. So therefore, you want to carry beyond, you have to set up an eruvei tchumin for Yom Tov, and it works. You say a bracha, the whole thing. Avalo Eruvei Chatzeros. For Yom Tov, you do not set up an Eruv Chatzeros, you don't say a bracha, because it's not shaykh, it wasn't established for it, because you're allowed to carry. On Yom Tov, you're allowed to carry in public from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah, so therefore it's not shaykh. However, there are cases, when we get there we'll learn, there are cases when you're not allowed to carry even on Yom Tov, like if it's for no purpose whatsoever. If you have any purpose whatsoever, useful, you want to eat, you want to read, whatever you want to use, the thing you're carrying, you're cold, you're going to use it for later, you're allowed to. Keys, whatever, it has a purpose. Something that really has no purpose. Wrong set of keys, there's no chance you're going to use them, it could be a real problem. Pashtus, it's aser to carry on Yom Tov with no Eruv if there's no purpose whatsoever. Okay.
But can you make an Eruv just for Yom Tov?
So it's my understanding is it's impossible to make an Eruv only for Yom Tov. It doesn't work, and it'll be a bracha levatala. And so the Mishnah Berurah says, if you're going to set up an Eruv for the year for Shabbos, have in mind, say, Mistama works Stama, but anyways, you should specify that you're doing the Eruv. Once you're making an Eruv for Shabbos, specify you're making an Eruv for Yom Tov as well, and this way you're able to carry all year on Yom Tov, even Shalol Tzarech, if there is Mukaf Mechitzos, and you have your Eruv still Kayam. Tav Yud Zayin. Alright, so we finished Hilchas Eruvin, Tchumin, Chatzeros, V'chulei. Wonderful. Yeah. Speak louder, come here.
In a large city like Beit Shemesh, it's likely that Eruvin Tchumin is not going to help you, because if you're more than Alpayim Amma from the edge of the city, or from the Iburo Shel Ir,
right?
It's not going to work. You're not going to be able to do an Eruvin Tchumin. If your house is not close to the edge of the city, it's not going to work. It's not going to help you. If anything, it'll make things worse. For example, if you do nothing, you have the entire city limits plus the Ibur Shel Ir plus 2,000 amos in each direction. If you make an Eruvin Tchumin in one side, you could lose out the ability to go to anywhere in the city, or at least according to some sheets.
According to the Shulchan Aruch, not according to the Ramah, you're good. Yeah. Okay. Let's start Hilchos Rosh Chodesh. Tav Yud Zayin. Okay. Aleph. Rosh Chodesh mutar ba'asiyat malacha. Rosh Chodesh was never asked to do work. We're allowed to do any work we want. That's the halacha. Only for the men. We're going to get into a drop of Agadata. Let's keep reading. V'hanashim shenohagot shelo la'asot bo malacha. The women who are noheg not to do any malacha, hu minhag tov. It's a good minhag. Okay, let's finish reading the Ramah. Haga. V'im minhag la'asos miktas malachos, v'lo la'asot ktsatan, azlinan batar haminhag. And Ramah just points out, it depends whatever the minhag is. If the minhag is to do some malacha, not other malachas, so whatever the minhag is, that's what women should do. So, here, we're talking about malacha. Just to point out, the Torah has a nice Agadata, it's based on Yerushalmi, that there's 3 holidays, 3 Moadim, right? We're not allowed to do work, Yamin Tovim. Each one is connected the Avos. Avraham to Pesach, he talks about preparing matzahs. Yitzchak, Shavuos, talks about the shofar. Shofar comes from Kedes Yitzchak, and that's where there's going to be, there is shofars on Har Sinai, okay? And then Sukkot, that's where there's also a reference in the Chumash, that's connected Yaakov Avinu. The 12 Shvatim got Rosh Chodesh. And Rosh Chodesh is considered a shtickle Yom Tov, on some level, and, right, we don't say Tachanun, Chule, and some explain even, that really, it should have been Asr Malacha, some kind of halachas, maybe similar to Chol HaMoed, even for men. But what happened? They sinned by Chet Egel. And they lost it. They lost that privilege, and it became 100% mutter to do work on Rosh Chodesh. However, the women wouldn't give, they didn't want to participate, they wouldn't give of their jewelry for the Chet Egel, and therefore they took this special non-work holiday of not working, and that's miyuchad for them. So that's why B'davka it's Rosh Chodesh that was given for them, not to work. Also, again, it depends how drushy you want to get. Talking about months, Lavana, it's also Keneged women, spheres of Malchus, and Hitchachus, and an Aliyah. But, okay, we'll leave it at that. So that's an Inyan for women, B'davka, not to work. Now, many different types of minhagim. Also, discussion, how do you interpret the Shulchan Aruch? Is it saying they shouldn't work, it's optional? So there are two main thoughts. One is women should not work. They accepted it upon themselves, and therefore they're stuck with this minhag. And certainly the kol sheken, the husbands can't force them to work. Some learn it's only for a benefit for the women. If they want to work, they're allowed to work. And if they don't want to work, it's a benefit for them not to work. L'maisa, so I believe in most communities, women do work. They go to the office. They do what they need to do. They teach. They this. They that. Orach Chaim points out the minhag is by women that they do work. If they have to work, if they don't need to work, then they don't work anyway. But anyway, so it depends on what the custom is. Generally, the custom is that women do work. However, some poskim, in particular in Eretz Yisrael, they point out that it depends on who writes. Dirshu quotes a couple. There's Rav Osner and Shevet HaLevi. There's Shlomo Zalman. Some write either it's the minhag for them not to at least sew or to do laundry, at least by hand with a lot at once. Many are makel, certainly with a machine, or just to do one little thing that they need for the day. Maybe different minhagim and different interpretations.
My wife won't do laundry and sew.
Right. So many say it's better not to do sewing and laundry. The question is, different opinions, and the question is if that's really the minhag or they're just telling you should be machmer. The Mishnah Berurah says women should at least do something, not to work. We'll leave it with different, depends what the minhag is also. But some have the gisha that really, B'davka should bekayim the minhag. Okay. Now, there's a custom to do Mevarchim HaChodesh every month before Rosh Chodesh. We're all familiar with that on Shabbos. So the main reason that people give is to remind us that it's Rosh Chodesh that week, and to tell us. Also, it's L'Zecher that we used to do Kiddush HaChodesh every month by Kiddush HaChodesh by the new moon. Now we have a set calendar, so that's why when we say Kiddush Mevarchim HaChodesh, the minhag is to stand, because that's how it used to be done by Beis Din. Okay. We always announce Mevarchim HaChodesh, except for which month? The month that's coming up next is Tishrei. Because why? Because it's Rosh Hashanah, and everyone knows about Rosh Hashanah, no one needs the reminder. Also, there's a remez. Okay, there you go. Another reason could be to confuse the Satan, maybe. Also, there's a remez of, and this is also in lieu of this, is Bekesa Yom Chagenu. It's a pasuk at this holiday of Bekesa is hidden, like Lechasot is referring to Rosh Hashanah, and we don't, again, whatever the reason is, perhaps because of the Satan. Okay, let's see. There's a question if it's a 2-day Rosh Chodesh, what to do. Mishnah Berurah says at least try and keep the 2nd day Rosh Chodesh, for women, try not to do something or not to work. Again, the biggest hakpada we mentioned is, again, some people do it's al malacha, any kind of work, perhaps just Chol HaMoed stuff, similar to Chol HaMoed, which is also not to work, and, okay. Davar ha'aved, if someone's going to lose money, lose a job, and, again, we're makel for that. Yom Kippur Katan, they do slichas, some people fast, some people go to the mikvah. Okay. Just get it out there. Alright, now let's go to the next Siman Tav Yud Chet. Din Tainis Rosh Chodesh. Okay, now some halachas of Rosh Chodesh that apply to everyone. Aleph. Rosh Chodesh, Asr B'tainis. You're not allowed to decree a fast day. You're not allowed to make a fast day. Doesn't mean you have to have bread, but it means you have to eat something. Okay. Bread. Ein gozrim tanit al tzibur. B'rosh Chodashim, b'Chanukah u'Purim. The tzibur is not allowed or not supposed to make a gzera to be katainis, b'dafka on Rosh Chodesh, Chanukah, or Purim. Same category, so we throw it all in. Now, so if Chazal made a gzera, generally speaking, dafka on those days, and to start on those days, it didn't work. Their gzera was batel, and you eat, and that's it. It's okay. But if they already made a gzera from beforehand, they already started beforehand, and their kavanah wasn't to include Rosh Chodesh, and they started before, since it already started before and that wasn't their kavanah b'dafka to uproot Rosh Chodesh, of not fasting. So in other words, they started kach v'kach yamim, and they already started a few days before, v'itchilu b'hem kodem Rosh Chodesh, like they made a few days in a row, or a typical Monday, Thursday, and they didn't think about it, or it's for a fast. Afilu yom echad, as long as they started at least one day before, Mishnah Berurah says at least most of the day, not just a couple hours, then they can go take it back. Ein mafsikin umitanin umashlimin. Once they started, then they continue. Okay. And they finish fasting the whole day. Okay. Alright. Not so common scenario. Gimel. Yachid shekiba alav tani kaf v'kach yamim ufaga bo rosh chodesh, or shekiba alav litanas berosh chodesh, im kiba a person on his own says, okay, I'm going to fast dafka on Rosh Chodesh, or just on a few days, and Rosh Chodesh bumps right into there. It's not the same koach of a tzibur, and it doesn't count for anything. And you don't need to do katara, and you don't even have to, the poskim say, you don't even have to make it up. However, I'll just point out the Mishnah Berurah says, not so simple, it could be, he holds, if you just specify the next few days and it's Rosh Chodesh, he holds, then you would have to make it up. Okay, it's only if he holds, when everyone else says you don't have to make it up, that's like if you made it for like the whole year, or for months at a time, weeks at a time, then it's another story. Okay. Ve'im kiblu alav bilashon harei alai shu lashon neder, but if you make a lashon of a neder, a yachin makes a lashon of a neder, which is binding the araisa, and he says, I'm going to fast on this day, Rosh Chodesh. So then, tzarich hatarat chacham. You need to do a hatara because it's the araisa of a neder you made. So you need to fast. However, but you're really supposed to eat. So the only way out is to do hataras nadarim. If you don't, you're supposed to do hataras nadarim, and that's the only way out. Okay. Dalet. Im nishba. A person makes a shvua litanot kach v'kach yamim ve'era behem Rosh Chodesh. A person makes a shvua that he's going to fast these following days, and it turns out that one of them is going to be Rosh Chodesh. So then, similarly, hashavua chala alav. Then the shvua is binding. It's a daraisa mitam iser kolel, because of an iser kolel. You didn't make a shvua dafka only on Rosh Chodesh. You made it for both days that are mutter to fast and days that are asr to fast, which is Rosh Chodesh. So since it was included in the whole in the whole Shavua together, then it becomes binding on the Rosh Chodesh as well. And again, you need to make hatar. However, he says kevan she'eno midarabanan, but he says, wait a second, nearly shechala alav Shavua kevan she'eno ela midarabanan. It's only the isser of fasting is only midarabanan. So therefore, you have to make a Shavua. Therefore, the Shavua is binding.
It's not nishpa, not because of the Torah.
Right. It's not Shavua against what was written in the Torah. Harambam nira lechora shehu midaraisa. But the Rambam seems to hold that it is the araisa to that you're not allowed to fast. So according to the Rambam, it could be that it's not chal. But anyways, the Shulchan Aruch paskins, you should do hataras nadarim just like a neder. Okay. Hey, Hamit aneh berosh chodesh o b'Chanukah uPurim ta'anit chalom. Person does do a ta'anit chalom, which we touched upon previously. We learned, usually it doesn't come up, but if a person takes it real seriously and does do a ta'anit chalom on the day that he wakes up, so then he does fast. You are allowed to fast. If you are going to make a ta'anit chalom, then you do fast on Rosh Chodesh or Chanukah or Purim, and sarich l'meitav ta'anit l'ta'anite, and you have to make a whole nother tainus in order to make up for it, because you were to make a tainus for the tainus, because you're not supposed to be fasting on because you're being mevatel the oneg of Rosh Chodesh. Let's just read one more siman. Tav Yotet Aleph. Mitzvah laharbot v'seudat Rosh Chodesh. It's a mitzvah to eat more, to make it more festive. There's an inyan to have Birkas Hamazon, but there's no chiyuv to eat bread and Birkas Hamazon. It's an inyan, and you also get to say Rosh Ya'alev Yavo. Okay, and so it's Hareza Meshubach. If you whatever you mosif on the day of Rosh Chodesh, Hareza Meshubach. And Mishnah Berurah reminds us of the Chazal that whatever a person even though a person's mezonos, his parnasa might be decreed for the whole year, whatever he's motzi for Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh, Yom Tov, or for schar for education, tuition, or education for your children for limud Torah, then it's not counted, and even if you spend extra, Hashem gives you even more parnasa than was accounted for originally. It's a bigger, what's it called? You don't have to add during the night, it's enough just to add during the day. Okay. Whatever you normally do, you should do more. Okay? Have a great day.